The knight had learned his breathing patterns better than anyone else, the pauses between exhales heavy with years of restraint, fear, and responsibility. The single dad stood by the window, city lights trembling like uncertain promises below, knowing that one small decision could unravel the strength he had stitched together day by day since loss first taught him how fragile love could be. He had warned her softly, not with words but with the way his shoulders stiffened and his eyes avoided hers, that if she stayed tonight, something inside him might finally give way after years of holding firm. Before this story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of human connection, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. His name was Daniel Carter, a man who had learned how to wake before dawn without an alarm, how to stretch one meal into two, how to hide exhaustion behind a steady smile for the sake of a small boy who believed his father was unbreakable. Parenthood had not arrived for Daniel wrapped in joy and celebration but in grief and sudden silence. Years earlier, a hospital hallway had stripped color from his world, leaving him alone with an infant son and a promise whispered to someone who would never hear it again. From that day forward, Daniel's life became a careful balancing act between survival and love, between earning enough to keep the lights on and being present enough to keep his son's heart whole. Every morning, Daniel packed lunches with quiet precision, tying shoelaces, brushing hair, and kneeling down to meet the eyes of his son, Lucas, reminding him that no matter what, they were a team. Lucas had grown into a gentle, observant child, the kind who noticed when his father's smile lingered too long or when his eyes looked distant during bedtime stories. Daniel believed he was shielding his son from the weight of the world, but children have a way of sensing cracks long before adults admit they exist. The years hardened Daniel in invisible ways. He stopped going out, stopped answering calls from old friends, stopped believing that his heart had space for anything beyond responsibility. Love became a locked room he walked past every day without opening the door, afraid that if he did, everything he had built would collapse. Strength, to him, meant endurance. It meant silence. It meant never asking for help. Then came Emily Watson, stepping into his life not with force but with patience. She was Lucas's new teacher, someone who noticed how the boy lingered after class, waiting for his father with an expression that mixed pride and worry. Emily saw Daniel first as a tired parent, then as a man carrying more than he allowed himself to admit. Their conversations began with schedules and homework but slowly deepened into shared smiles and understanding glances. Emily had her own scars, her own losses, and she recognized the way Daniel held himself as someone who had survived something terrible by becoming smaller. As weeks passed, Emily became a quiet presence in their world. She helped Lucas with reading, attended school events where Daniel stood awkwardly at the back, and offered small kindnesses that required no explanation. Daniel fought the pull he felt toward her, not because he did not care, but because he cared too much. The idea of needing someone again terrified him more than loneliness ever had. Needing meant risking, and risking meant possibly failing Lucas, the one person he had sworn never to hurt. The night everything shifted arrived unannounced. A sudden storm flooded streets and delayed buses, leaving Emily stranded near Daniel's apartment after a late school event. Lucas was already asleep when they returned, his small chest rising and falling in peaceful rhythm. The apartment felt smaller with another adult inside it, the air charged with words Daniel refused to speak. Emily offered to stay until the storm passed, and Daniel felt something inside him tremble, a wall cracking under pressure he had pretended did not exist. Memories crowded him, of promises broken by fate, of nights spent holding a crying baby while mourning a future that vanished overnight. He had built his strength out of isolation, brick by brick, believing that if he stood alone long enough, he would never fall. But Emily's presence challenged that belief. She did not ask him to be anything other than what he was, and that frightened him more than rejection ever could. As rain hammered the windows, Daniel realized that strength was not the absence of weakness but the courage to acknowledge it. He thought of Lucas, of the lessons he wanted his son to learn about love, resilience, and honesty. He wondered what example he was setting by denying himself connection, by teaching his child that survival was enough. The internal battle raged silently, every instinct urging him to retreat, to keep holding on until his hands bled. Emily sensed his turmoil without needing an explanation. She moved carefully, respecting the boundaries he had built, offering presence without pressure. That quiet respect began to melt something frozen inside Daniel. He understood then that his warning was not about temptation but about fear. Fear that if he allowed himself to feel again, he would lose the version of himself that had kept his family afloat. The storm eventually softened, but the change inside Daniel did not fade with the rain. In the days that followed, he found himself laughing more freely, breathing more deeply. Lucas noticed too, asking innocent questions about why his father seemed lighter, why the apartment felt warmer. Daniel realized that opening his heart did not weaken him, it strengthened the world he was building for his son. Life did not become perfect. There were still bills, sleepless nights, and moments when old fears resurfaced. But Daniel no longer faced them alone. He learned to ask for help, to accept love without guilt, and to trust that his strength could coexist with vulnerability. Emily remained by his side, not as a solution to his problems but as a partner willing to walk through uncertainty with him. If this story is touching something inside you right now, if you feel the weight of holding on alone or the hope of letting someone in, please take a moment near the end of this video to like it, share it, and comment. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might be standing at the same crossroads. And before this story closes, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what part of this journey felt most real to you, because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read tonight. Daniel never lost the strength he had been holding for years. He transformed it. He learned that true strength was not about standing alone against the storm, but about allowing someone to stand beside you while it passed. And in that quiet realization, a single dad discovered that love, when welcomed with honesty and care, does not take away from who you are. It gives you more than you ever thought you could carry.